Alright, Alliance, so let's address the elephant in the room. Shunsui doesn't have his scar. Kayla, please fix. Either way, yesterday we did upload our BANKAI SHUNSUI showcase, giving my opinion, my final thoughts on the character now that I've had a chance to play with him, and how do I feel about this unit. And the video title itself did include controversial, and it's not really controversial for the character itself. I mean, most people are disappointed with him, let's get that straight out of the way. But it was controversial, the video itself, because of my opinion. And I've been getting a lot of comments, I need to apologize, I'm wrong, I'm glazed in Shunsui. No. My problem is not with Shunsui, my problem is with the current state of Guild Quest, and because of that, I ultimately think that him having Frenzy +2 is kind of fine. But why exactly is that? Well, I do explain it in yesterday's video, but, you know, it's a 36-minute video, it's right at the end, understandably so, not everyone's going to get to the end. So was I wrong about Shunsui? Not really, but let's explain why. So, right now we all admit that the problem Shunsui has is Frenzy +2. I do agree with the overall community. He should have been given Frenzy +3. It would have been in Caleb's best interest to give him Frenzy +3. One, because there are characters in GQ right now that can actually compete with his score. So now you can make the case, why would you want to pull for Shunsui when you can just use 1000-year Blood War Yachiru and get a maybe better score than a 1 out of 5 Shunsui. So in that regard, they did flop this character. With Frenzy +3, it would have meant that he would have scored better than those current units, and then you would have maybe had more reason to summon for this character. Overall, though, when it comes to new character releases, we pull for hype, popular, exciting moments, especially for 1000-year Blood War, but big moments like this, we want to summon for big characters. Big moments like BANKAI SHUNSUI, and we want that to translate into a fun, unique character, but also a very powerful one. And for the most part, they did a good job with that, you know, with the new trigger boost effect or aura effect, which does itself have its problems, but I think overall, it's good mechanics added to the game. But again, he only needs Frenzy +2. So right now, for Caleb's point of view, like, we have less reason to potentially summon for him. If he had Frenzy +3, I would have felt like people would have summoned more. And then most importantly, going into the year 2026, we wouldn't be having this entire discussion the last 3 days about Frenzy +2, Frenzy +3. But in my yesterday's video, I said Frenzy +2 for this character is fine if Caleb keeps changing the way Guild Quest does work, where phase to phase, week to week, the HP changes based on the characters they kind of want you to use. So using this as an example, we will all probably agree that Shunsui is worse than Bankai Renji, 10th anniversary Ichigo, 10th anniversary Rukia, end of year Ichigo. But why exactly is that? Well, they all have better damage outputs, especially in the case for end of year Ichigo, for Bring Bankai Right, Bankai Renji, they have the very powerful EX boost that allows them to clear their guild quests very fast. Having said that, why is Shunsui scoring better than some of those characters? Last time I used Fullbring Bankai Ichigo, I didn't even clear the GQ. When I used 10th anniversary Rukia, 2 out of 5. When I used 10th anniversary Ichigo, 2 out of 5. This week, Shunsui scoring higher at 2 out of 5. When I use this character in Guild Quest with Shunsui, Rukia, and Ichigo, and keep in mind Shunsui's buffing those characters, Shunsui's clearing his Limit Breaker stages faster than those characters. So with that in mind, is Shunsui really worse than those characters, despite him only having Frenzy +2? That's my mindset right now. So if GQ just keeps changing HP, right now, damage output kind of doesn't matter, because they're not on the same playing field. Now, obviously, Shunsui is able to compete with those characters despite having Frenzy +2, because their HP has been lowered. In his respective Guild Quest phase, it's less HP. Rukia, Ichigo are going against more difficult content because they do have Frenzy +3. So if the problem we have right now with Shunsui is Frenzy +2 and they give him Frenzy +3, he's not magically going to perform better in his Guild Quest phase because the HP will be buffed. So hypothetical, if Caleb did go ahead and right now change the character Frenzy +3, they returned the GQ, you're not getting better scores. You're going to get the same score. It might even be more difficult for those that don't have Shunsui because the HP is going to be higher. So the problem right now isn't technically Shunsui. It's Guild Quest. It's the way Guild Quest is being treated. That's my problem with the game right now. If this character released 6 months ago, prior to the 10th anniversary, I'll be super upset with Frenzy +2. But right now, for the content he's designed for, he's clearing it just fine. He's able to clear it, for starters. Some characters couldn't. So right now, there is a big push for Shunsui to get Frenzy +3, and again, I would love for it to happen. Don't think it will happen. The thing we more so should be pushing is regarding the current state of Guild Quest with them changing HP week to week. And that, unfortunately, has been one of the biggest problems in Guild Quest, as we have seen since the 10th anniversary did start, because one of the things that I loved doing, right, when it came to my personal Guild Quest record, was looking at what score is the weakest, because every Guild Quest phase was balanced. They all had the same HP, and if we ever did get a new difficulty, they would all again have the same increase making it more difficult, but it would make certain units stand out. When we did get characters that were able to get 55 seconds remaining, it was a big deal because it was, one, super easy to do because they're really good units, and everyone likes getting good guild quest scores, right? When I looked at my roster, or my personal records, I would compare it week to week, and I would want to summon for a new character. Using this as an example, right, the Range Quincy guild quest prior to the 10th anniversary was one of my weakest teams. So that's why I was even more excited for Bankai Renji, besides just being a very fun unit, because it was going to put my Range Quincy guild quest team on the same level as some of the other teams, and I would be more encouraged to summon for those characters to best balance my scores. So now let's compare Shunsui's score, right? Shunsui, 50 seconds remaining. My melee captain, 40. Range captain, 40. So Shunsui scored better than those characters. When it comes to squad 0, I didn't even beat those respective guild quest phases. So Shunsui, Frenzy +2, is beating out those characters from a guild quest score standpoint. When we look, is 50 seconds my best? I guess Melee Espada is right now one of my best scores. Again, I've been a bit casual lately in guild quest, I will be honest, given what's been happening. But Range Human, that is a 10th anniversary Ichigo's phase, 51 seconds. My Shinsui scoring the same. So do I make sense when I say Frenzy +2 doesn't matter if the scores are super imbalanced? 50 seconds in one phase versus 30 seconds in another phase makes no difference because the HP is always changing. Again, look at this one, the Melee Quincy guild quest phase. We will all agree, end of year, Fullbring Bankai Ichigo is better than Shunsui. But guild quest scores say otherwise, because Shunsui was able to clear it, not Fullbring Bankai Ichigo. So yes, the character should have been given Frenzy +3. No reason not to, especially because if you are balancing the HP, why not give it to him? Likely, if they balanced the HP around Frenzy +3, he would have got the same scores, but people would have maybe been a bit more accepting of it, even if in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter because again, he's getting the same scores. So with that in mind, let's go over some comments that we did get. Raymond saying, Shunsui better pray Caleb doesn't release another melee Suriba normal attack damage character, or his GQ phase will double. Well, to be fair, they've already released the immediate normal attack damage character, that being Ganju. But yeah, if they do release another Nat character, where the idea is that Caleb want you to use that Nat character, and God forbid they make it a speed character, Shunsui is going to do horrible in that guild quest phase, and then in that case, he will be impacted more so because of Frenzy +2. So in that regard, maybe you have a point. Maybe, if only the exact same thing didn't happen to Rukia, and Rukia has Frenzy +3. Rukia has Frenzy +3. She's a good damage output. She's one of the best characters released this year. And they made her feel mediocre in her guild quest phase because they wanted you to use Renji. Even in the most recent GQ phase, which I think she was relatively fine in, it was still difficult because, again, they balanced the guild quest phase around Renji and also Rukia. So yeah, you can make the case that Shunsui's going to be cooked if they release a new Nad unit, but if they want to sell that new character, even if he had Frenzy +3, he would still be cooked. Because again, they did the exact same thing with Rukia. So when it comes to Guild Quest, once more, when it's time for Caleb to promote a new character and make one feel worse, they're going to be able to do that no matter what, whether Shunsui has Frenzy +2 or Frenzy +3. Fitness J says, since 9th anniversary, I believe they meant to say 10th anniversary, the only character who didn't get Frenzy +3 or Flurry +3 for an end of year or anniversary banner is Shunsui. Bro got effed. And yeah, that's kind of true. Again, right now for Guild Quest scores doesn't matter that much, but it is just a weird look, and again, he should have had Frenzy +3. Dev said he needed to be better. Why does it need to be carried by True Shikai Ichigo to even get a high score is insane. They fumbled my goal. Shout out to Dev, obviously. I wouldn't say Ichigo carried. In a way, one of the good things about Shunsui is how he does work as a DPS unit, but also a support unit, right? With the aura effect, and also the fact that he does have that 30% boost. So he's actually carrying Ichigo in that regard. He's making Ichigo better, dealing more damage. Obviously, for his best GQ score, you probably do need to use Ichigo to inflict weakening. But I mean, every time we use a character in Guild Quest, we're always using supports. It's a team game mode. You're using 3 characters. In our most recent Guild Quest video, I believe I did use Master Masculine and also Nanao. Would we say Rukia got carried by Nanao and Mask? Because she's definitely not beating the Guild Quest phase or getting a good score without them. So I think we're downplaying Shunsui a little bit by saying he's getting carried by Ichigo. Likely, if he did have Frenzy +3, you probably would have still used the same team. And again, if he did, the HP would have been buffed, and you probably would have got the same score, if not worse score. Because you ain't getting a better score, because the HP will be increased. Apotheosis says you literally have him max Transcended. That's in regard to my showcase. That's true. But again, we did remove our Transcendence. We did do a 1 out of 5 showcase in Guild Quest. We did a 2 out of 5. And we also did a max Transcended one. Keep in mind, obviously, I can't remove Transcendence, so admittedly, my summon will be doing a little bit more damage. Not a little bit, it will be doing more damage. So that also could have helped me out my score for the most part. But even at 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, he cleared pretty fast, he cleared pretty safe, at least with my team. And yeah, we do have a Max Transcendent, we did a Max Transcendent run, and obviously he's going to get a higher score. But obviously, it's also worth mentioning too, even if my character is Max Transcendent and therefore getting an extra bit of summon damage, technically my Shunsui is still being nerfed compared to the normal 1 out of 5 Shunsui, because strong attack damage is more important, and in that case, you can naturally give the character more SP. Again, I can't give the character 700 SP like I could if I had only the SP slot. So yes, my Shunsui is Max Transcended. Yes, it does impact our Soulbond damage, but the more important damage output is the strong attack damage, and my Shunsui was technically nerfed in that showcase. And also, while on that, I have been seeing some comments saying that you can only get 50 seconds in a nerfed guild quest. While that is true, that again, GQ is nerfed compared to other phases, it's still buffed compared to post 10th anniversary. If this was, again, before 10th anniversary, and let's say he did get Frenzy Plus free, he would be getting like a 55-second playtime. Of course he would. So even though his guild quest phase has been nerfed compared to other phases, because it is less HP, it's still buffed for the most part post 10th anniversary. Masters pretty much sums up what I've been saying. It kind of sucks that damage doesn't matter. Even if they give a character Frenzy Plus 7, then the GQ would be super buffed and you wouldn't even be able to feel the difference. So every character just kind of feels a little bad nowadays. And that's pretty much true. If he had Frenzy Plus 10, he would get the same score because they buffed the HP to meet the Frenzy Plus 10. All right? I'm repeating myself now, but that's the main point of this. It's not a Shunsui problem, it's a guild quest problem. He should have been given Frenzy Plus 3, but again, it doesn't really matter that much because guild quest is always changing. It does mean he potentially will get outclassed, but again, when it's time to replace the character, Caleb will do that regardless if they have Frenzy Plus 3 or not. Another comment, this is Gator saying, half the things you said in this video are beyond absurd and borderline delusional. Shunsui is barely a top 20 character in the game, is actively worse than a 2024 end of year Ichigo, and needs 2023 Ichigo in GQ to carry him with Lacerate procs. Little typo there, I think he means weakening. Again, wouldn't say carrying. And in regards to Shunsui being a not top 20 character, sure, but what are we basing that on now? Because it can't be GQ scores, because GQ scores are all over the place. Again, my Shunsui has a better score than end of year BANKAI Ichigo from last year. So who's really bad? So with that said, Shunsui should have been given Frenzy Plus 3. I feel like I've repeated myself a lot. My bad. I apologize. To me right now, the Frenzy Plus 2, Frenzy Plus 3 doesn't matter that much with the current state of Guild Quests. The problem is not the character. The problem is Guild Quests. GQ needs to go back to having the same amount of HP every single phase. That way, when you do get a big character with a good damage output, you really do feel the benefits of it. Because how many characters have released in the last 6 months post 10th anniversary with really good damage output, Frenzy Plus 3, and feel mediocre? I mean, look at all the trash talking Nini and Nemu got. They have a better damage output than Shunsui and GQ, but Shunsui felt better. So, yeah. Shunsui's not the problem. It's Guild Quests.